Oto Tomare is one of my favorite manga of all time, and as of chapter 115, we are ready to start the National High School Cultural Music Festival arc. This is the most anticipated arc in the manga since it was the main goal that our main cast has been aiming for this entire time. With how masterfully Amu wrote the national competition Kanagawa Preliminaries arc, everyone expects even better quality for this upcoming Nationals arc. As we got closer to Nationals, there's been a big focus on five major teams: Chibana, Idai, Mario, Ichihei, and Tokisei. In this video, I'll be going over everything you should expect out of the Koto performances of these five major teams, as well as going over my predictions on how this masterclass of an arc might play out. If you end up enjoying the video, please like, comment, and subscribe to support the channel. Also, subscribe to my Patreon for early access to many videos like this one. The link is in the description down below. So why exactly are people hyped over this Nationals arc? Let's talk about it. The National High School Cultural Musical Festival arc is where all the best high school Koto teams from the many different prefectures come together to compete in order to determine which team is the best in the country. Tokisei earned the right to compete in nationals after winning national qualifiers over Hokuto and Himisaka. But they have a lot more competition now as they head towards nationals. Ichihei, Mario, Idai, and Chibana are all powerful schools that look like they may take the whole tournament over Tokisei. Including Tokisei, what exactly makes these five teams strong contenders to win, and what should we expect out of their Koto performances? First, let's start with Chibana High School. Chibana High School is a team that is supposed to directly parallel Himisaka High School. They are both all-girls schools, they both have an elite Koto team, and they are both hailed as top 4 in the country. Since Ichihei was the first and Mario was the second, Himisaka and Chibana were in some order of third and fourth. Unlike the other big teams, we never did get to see Chibana play Koto, but it might be safe to assume that their Koto playstyle will also rely on unity like Himisaka's playstyle did. We do not know much about Chibana, but it seems that the main perspective of the team so far is through a girl named Tomo, similar to how Kazusa was the main perspective of Himisaka. Tomo seems to really dislike Tokisei after seeing the video Uzuki posted and believes that they are shaming Koto. Tomo also seems scared to admit that she might be wrong about Tokisei, but she is still backed up by her age mates in the club. Chibana wants to prove that they are a superior team to Tokisei High School, and they have history to potentially back that up. Similar to how Kazusa from Himisaka wanted to prove that Tokisei did not deserve to have someone like Seitawa on their team, this driving force might lead to Chibana to perform extraordinarily well, similar to how it led Kazusa and her team to perform well in earlier volumes. Moving towards the Nationals arc, we can expect a big performance from Chibana since they are a consistent top 4 national team, just like Himisaka. Based on how Himisaka played in the preliminaries, their team might not rely on a specific ace, but instead push for every member to be unified together in a powerful performance. Due to Tomo's feelings about Tokisei, this might lead them to play better to prove their point of being a superior team, or it could potentially interfere with the performance since it is still a selfish distraction. I think that given Chibana's history and the parallels with Himisaka, they could easily give us one of the most elite performances we have seen so far in the series. Chibana looks like a strong contender to give a powerful performance, but so does Idai High School. When we first met Idai High School's Koto team, the Koto club was quite small and only had 2 members. They didn't even have a club advisor. Miya and Haru were the 2-man Koto team of Idai, with Miya being the main attraction. The main star, Sentaro Miya, was known as a short guy with a big temper, whereas Haru was known as a tall guy who was very docile. In chapter 24, we saw Idai's performance for the first time. As Miya was performing, many people commented that Miya was able to play extremely fast while still maintaining the sound of every note. Miya and Haru's presence on the Koto was shown as spirits, with Miya's spirit being far bigger and fiercer than Haru's, which caused an imbalance. The performance was still said to be very powerful and left a strong effect on everybody watching. Miya's main motivation for Koto mainly comes from his grandmother. His grandmother used to be the club advisor for their Koto club, and despite their few members, the Ida High School Koto club of the past was still able to compete in nationals. Currently, the club was on the verge of being disbanded, and Mia wanted to bring the club back to its glory days by carrying them back to the Nationals for his grandmother. This is a very wholesome and powerful reason that continuously pushes Mia to perform at his best. Apart from his grandmother, there are other reasons why Mia tries so hard in Koto. Due to his height, a lot of people look down on Mia and make fun of him. Since playing Koto is seen as a female-oriented activity, they make fun of him for that too. Mia uses this feeling of wanting to prove them all wrong, along with wanting to bring his grandmother to Nationals to push himself to bring Idai to the next level. For the Nationals arc, there's a lot to expect out of Idai. During Idai's performance at the Kanto Music Festival, Setawa implied that if Mia and Haru were to properly balance their attitudes and feelings for Koto and match together properly while playing, they can really become a scary opponent in the future. We saw the imbalance of their spirits earlier, but heading into Nationals, there's a good chance that the team has improved to the point where they can play not only powerfully, but also synchronized as well. Tsukashi also said that Idai's improvement and growth are remarkable, and he thinks they're contender to win the whole event, just like the other 4 elite teams. Mia's grandmother is also attending the event, so Mia will want to bring his 100% to show her that this Idai High School Koto Club is back to its glory days, just like he promised. When we see Idai again arriving at Nationals, the team seemed to have gotten a new club member named Akari, and a new club advisor as well. With a proper advisor and more members, we can assume that Idai has improved even further than what we saw in Chapter 24. If they master their balance, as Setawa mentioned, they can be a strong contender for winning, or at least getting a very high placing. Idai has a lot of potential going into Nationals, but Mario's looking amazing as well. Mario is one of the first teams Tokisei met and is hailed as the second best high school Koto team in Japan. Mario has a large team, but their main star is Osuke. Osuke was said not only to have elite skills while playing the solo, but they can't even name another person who can bring out as much ability as he can in an ensemble. We saw an example of this in Volume 6 when they played the song Hiakafu. This was a very difficult song, and Setawa explained to the Tokisei club just how impressive it is that Mario was able to play it with this many people. During that performance, just like stated earlier, Osuke started drawing out everyone's full potential. It is clear that he's one of the most gifted Koto players in the series, and Chika even commented that he was getting the same feeling as he gets when Setawa plays. Osuke also seemed to have great range as he was able to play bright and brilliant in the beginning, but could also shift into a darker and colder but powerful performance for his solo. The other members of the club are assumed to be very good as well, but the main focus is nearly always on Osuke. Osuke's main motivations for Koto mainly come from his past as a sickly child. Due to his health, he was always alone and could never play with his age mates. However, his neighbor Asano, who was 1 year older than him, and Yachan, who ended up as the Koto coach, introduced him to Koto and became his first ever friends. They were the only light he had in his lonely and painful world. Due to his childlike overexcitement of finally having friends through Asano, this led to them being teased and bullied for seeming too much like a couple. He realized his actions were the cause of this behavior to Asano, and he was scared she would eventually leave him, which means he would lose his first ever friend. In order to prevent that, he studied people's feelings and attitudes heavily and learned exactly how he has to act in order to keep the bonds he created with people strong. This trait of his led to him becoming great at bringing out other people's strengths with his Koto. It seems that as long as they have Osuke, Mario's potential will be limitless. For the Nationals arc, there is a lot to expect from Mario. Mario is the runner-up champion of last year, so they have high expectations to give at least a top 2 performance in this competition. Their star, Osuke, is now in his 2nd year and most likely further improved his skill at the ensemble. Even though it's not explicitly stated, this performance will be the last performance for his childhood friend Asano, so this could be strong motivation for Osuke to want to win Nationals with this current team. There are a lot of hints that Osuke might like Asano or something more than just friends, but it seems that he's willing to keep his distance as to not ruin the current friendship, since there's a good chance he might be interested in Yachan instead. This plotline may resurface again during the performance. In Nationals. Mario has always carried himself with confidence. Osuke seems like a very competitive person, and even though Mario has always been a strong 2nd place at Nationals, he won't be satisfied until he brings them to 1st place. During the Kanto Music Festival, Osuke said that I heard that the first team tends to be used as the standard by judges. That's why I kinda didn't want it, but if all the others who come after us mess up, at least there won't be a problem. This confidence comes from the fact that even though they are going first, they fully believe that they will not make a single mistake in their performance, which will grant them victory if the judges see any other team make a tiny mistake. This almost parallels the current Nationals arc, since even though Mario isn't the literal first team to perform, they are still the first major team to perform, and the judges might use Mario's performance to judge the other big teams. And as Osuke said earlier, if anyone else messes up slightly, they will most likely win since they are actually that good. Mario's confidence can also be seen in Chapter 16, where Osuke called Himisaka's performance a uniform performance, but Mario's a real performance. Mario tends to always have the upper hand on Himisaka, who's top 4, so we can expect them to have the upper hand against Shibana as well. Chapter 112 showed that after Mario's practice performance, it was deemed as perfect from the coach. We can expect the pinnacle of Mario's current ability being shown in this Nationals arc. To Tokisei, Osuke said that this year's Mario is perfect, and he wants to see how they will do against Tokisei's best. It seems that this Mario team is very confident that they will win, and I'm excited to see how they will perform during this Nationals arc. Mario easily might take the tournament, but the reigning champs, Ichie High School, look as insurmountable as they've ever been. Ichie High School is a music school, and the Koto Club is made up of 5 people who are all trying to go professional. They are seen as the cream of the crop when it comes to high school Koto. Seitawa was originally supposed to join this Koto powerhouse school, which is a reminder that they really are known as the pinnacle of high school Koto. Ichie has won the Nationals for the past 5 years, which shows their dominance in high school Koto. In Chapter 75, we get more insight into the dominance of Ichie High School. Every year for the past 5 years, their first years will win the preliminaries, and the second years of that same lineup will win the Nationals. Every year had new members and a new performance, yet they were still able to maintain a 5-year winning streak as champions. This shows that their dominance doesn't necessarily come from individual talent alone, but the environment and the training staff all play a huge role in ensuring the success of each new year of students. The Ichie Club advisor said that the lineup for Ichie this year is far and away the best in their entire history. The Ichie lineup all have personal feats that are very impressive and showcase their amazing talent in Koto. The first member of Ichie is Takamura Togo. Togo got second place at the 29th National Koto competition in the middle school division. The second member is Hosho Sao. He is the Akane's group upcoming 7th leader, who also plays the Yamada style. The third member is Hanahata Imari. She also got second place at the 29th National Koto competition in the middle school division. The fourth member is Luca Chevalier. He won the 6th National Music Competition in the Japanese Music Division. And the last member is Saotome Milan, and she studied at home in the Koto workshop. In Chapter 75, Ichie performed Tomfoolery, which was a contender for one of the most intense and one of the greatest Koto performances in the series. Milan was used as the ace, while Luca was seen as the second ace, or the second most important piece of that performance. Tomfoolery completely shook everyone who witnessed it to their core and reminded them just how powerful of an obstacle Ichie is to overcome. Every member of Ichie has multiple accomplishments, but it seems that Milan is hailed as their most promising member. With a stacked roster as Ichie has, where members like Imari lost competitions only to prodigies like Seitawa, it is very impressive that Milan was still the ace of Ichie. She's always regarded as very intense, and Luca is a huge fan of her music. We only see him act that way with Milan and Seitawa. Unlike Imari, however, Seitawa has never officially beaten Milan in a Koto competition, so there may be a chance that Milan is on the same level or maybe even better than Seitawa when it comes to performing on the Koto. There are many motivations that drive Ichie to win. Everyone on the team is trying to become professionals at Koto, which is a powerful resolve to have. Winning nationals would be great for them to put on their resume, especially since all the other Ichie teams that came before them won nationals themselves. If the current team, being the strongest in Ichie's history, were to lose, it won't be a good look for them at all. In order to avoid that scenario, they will need to surpass their limits and play absolutely perfectly. The resolve is shown when Luca told Chika that he's willing to dedicate his life to Koto. This is not an easy thing to say, and he's the only one up until this point to say it. Many members of Ichie has also lost competitions to Seitawa, so this could be their chance to get revenge by showing that they have further improved their abilities and can now take a tournament from her this time. There's a lot of pride, reputation, and honor on the line for Ichihei, and they are more than willing to step up to the challenge and deliver. For the Nationals arc, there's a lot to expect from Ichihei. As the reigning champions, Ichihei is expected to perform the best and take home the sixth championship title in a row. The song that they will perform will be Tomfoolery again, but this time they want to switch places of Milan and Luca. With Luca being the new star of the song, it could give birth to a performance that surpasses the one we witnessed in Chapter 75. This idea is supported by the dialogue Ichihei's advisor had in Chapter 85 right before he switched Luca and Milan for the Tomfoolery song. He said that, "All of you are amazing. Another high school having a collection of students as talented as you, first of all, is impossible. And the performance all of you create now, when you crash your egos together, I very much enjoy how enthralling it is. But having had listened to Tokise's performance, I think I've grown a bit more greedy. I want to deepen your world of music, expand it. I want to hear an evolved performance from you." From this dialogue, we get reminded that individually, Ichihei is definitely the strongest group of Koto players, and now thanks to their coach, they will have an even deeper and more evolved performance that's more than them just crashing their egos together. The coach is also not underestimating his opponents and even says maintaining their streak will be hard this year. Understanding your opponent's skill level and adapting your performance to it in order to guarantee your win is a sign of an amazing coach. Looking at all these factors, Ichihei is looking in perfect form to take the entire tournament. With their history, talent, and their coach, it's easy to see that Ichihei will have one of the best performances we will see in the entire series. With all the opponents covered, all that is left is our main team, Tokisei High School. Tokisei needs no introduction. They were triumphant against the top 4 team in Himisaka, as well as beating Hokuto, who previously defeated Himisaka during the Kanto Music Festival. With this alone, we know that they are contenders for being top 4 in the country as well. There are many reasons to expect a masterclass performance from Tokisei in the upcoming Nationals arc. First, their club advisor, Takenami Sensei, has the talent to be one of the best composers in the entire country, and he single-handedly composed the entire song for Tokisei to play at Nationals. Having a private song perfectly tailored for your club is completely different from most other schools that have to choose a public song to play. Takenami also put a solo for every member of the club, so instead of relying mostly on Seitawa like they did in the preliminaries, everyone has to pull a huge weight for them to successfully perform the song. Having Seitawa on the team is also a huge boost, since she has already beaten almost every single person in her age group at a professional competition before. Having that level of individual talent that matches even Ichihei students is huge. The Tokisei team was also taught by Akira and sometimes her brother, who were the successors of the Dojima group. Akira is very gifted at teaching others Koto, since she understands how it's like to not be very talented. Under her care, the Tokisei's team fundamental Koto skill level increased drastically, which turned them into a strong national team. Tokisei also has strong first years that will add spice to the song that wasn't present in the national preliminaries. Yoshinaga has a strong contrast with his music that actually adds heavy flavor to the song if matched correctly. Momoyo was able to step up and blend Yoshinaga's sound to the rest of the cast, which then evolved the song even further. Takenami also put Momoyo in charge of the fill-in, which is almost like an ad-lib for the song, and it is an incredibly important role that adds spice to the song through improvisation. This means that until Tokisei plays the day of their performance, they will never truly know how amazing they'll do, since there is no current cap on how well they will perform due to the concept of Momoyo's fill-in. Along with smaller concepts like sex appeal, the gaps between notes, and etc., there's a lot of greatness to expect from Tokisei in the Nationals arc. Tokisei's motivations mainly come from the fact that this performance is the last song they'll play with Takizo and Karusu as a Koto club. Takizo and Karusu is the president and the vice president of the club respectively, and they have done so much in keeping the club stable, so the other members feel like they owe it to Takizo and Karusu to perform the absolute best and give them a great memory to send them off with. Tokisei is also expecting a lot of guests like family members, Tetsuki, teaching staff, the granny that always helps them, even Ozuki, and potentially Chika's father. This will encourage them to perform above and beyond what they're normally capable of, since they'll want to impress the people that supported them for so long. So with all these factors in place, it is easy to imagine that the performance Tokisei will give in this arc will be some of the greatest sequences we have seen in the entire series. Now it's time I get into my predictions for the Nationals arc. I think Tokise will end up winning the entire thing, not only because they're the main cast, who worked insanely hard to reach this far, but I believe that the performance due to factors like Momoya, Yoshinaga, Seitawa, Akira's training, and Takinami's song will all contribute into making the performance the best out of all of them. Another big contender I think has a great shot of winning is of course Ichihei. On paper, Ichihei should win this year. They have 5 members on the team, which is not only the best Ichihei has ever had, but the coach has also further evolved their sound into something far greater than what we've seen earlier in the previous tomfoolery performance. Given how powerful they already were, evolving them the way that they did should almost cement the fact that they will win this year as well. The last team I think that is a strong contender to win will be Mirio. Mirio is set to be perfect this year specifically, so we can assume that they are the strongest they have ever been so far. Osuke also seems very confident in their current ability, so if there is any year that Mirio will be superior to Ichihei, it will be this year. Ida, I believe, is the true dark horse of the tournament. They were honestly not supposed to make it this far in the first place and was not a part of the big 4 schools, but similar to Hokuto, I believe that they have a lot to prove and will give an extraordinary performance. I do not think they will win the whole thing, however, but I can see them easily being better than another big team and finishing even as high as 2nd place. For Chibana, I have the lowest hope for. Chibana did not play yet, so we do not have a proper gauge on the Koto skill level, and the Chibana high school members don't give off the presence of like a future champion. I believe that their beef with Tokise might get in the way of the performance, but even if it doesn't, I just think that the other big teams have far stronger motivation to perform well, and Ichihei, Tokise, and Mirio have the talent and the presence to become a champion. The Nationals will be a very long arc since the competition covers multiple days and the performances will be the peak of most of these teams' careers. This means that we might get multiple chapters for a performance, and depending on how in-depth Emi wants to go on the team, they might even get an entire volume. With 5 major teams being covered in this competition and potentially many other teams we don't know about yet, the Nationals arc can be close to even 7 to 8 volumes. This series is most likely going to wrap up after this arc, so I expect this arc to contain the best writing and the best art Emi has ever done. I'm very excited for this arc, and I believe it will be an easy Hall of Fame when it's all said and done. If you ended up enjoying this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to support the channel. It really helps me out. And also subscribe to my Patreon for early access to more videos like this one. The link is in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.